and so we were wondering what those are and what they're like.
Well, the barn dances were wonderful. First of all, we had it was first 60 feet long, and it had a hardwood floor. And when you have barn dances, you need a fire exit from the front and the back. The orchestra sat on a stage above the dance floor. And then because we had such big crowds, Grandpa then extended the barn 12 more feet, so it was 72 feet long.
Wow.
And we had full crowds. In fact, we had a very big yard there at Lestock, and a lot of the cars had to park along the highway, number 15 highway. And there were the girls from Punachai, next town, were the ones that would start it. They'd come to the dance and dance with each other, and then as the boys arrived, that's when the dance got going. And then I ran a lunch counter under the steps downstairs selling hot dogs and hamburgers.
The barn dance was in the loft as well.
Yeah. And so they were every second Friday, and it was a licensed dance hall. It was called Devers Dance Hall Pavilion. And we had the orchestra from Lestock. Lestock, the town, had a dance. Nobody was there. They all came to the barn dance. And that orchestra then came out to the barn dance. So, yeah, it was great. We had no damage done to our yard except one night these kids got into the chicken house and took the chickens from the roost and put them into the cars so that when these young couples came out to neck, there was a chicken.
And I'm sorry, whose kids were these that did that? I remember Austin telling a tale about such a thing.
Well, during the dance, the kids would go out to the pig pen and ride the pigs.
I'm
so
sure
they hear the pigs scream.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's we did have the barn dances until Grandpa became the postmaster at Lestock. Yeah.
So did the floor shake when they were all dancing? No, the barn was.
Well, barn was solid.
That wasn't a very old barn.
No, it was a brand new barn.
Okay.
Yeah, and that barn eventually was moved to Echo Valley.
Okay.
On the way down to Echo Valley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still sit where that
Oh.
where it started out as a kind of a truck farm and so on and so forth, just before, just the other side of railroad tracks, heading down to
On
Sioux Bridge.
on 35?
No, turn off number 10. You know where the first turnoff is to go past the lakes into Fort Capel?
Yep.
On the way to Bethsaida?
And it's going on that.
I think I've seen it there then. Yeah,
It's the only
okay.
big red barn in the bush there.
It was a Gothic roof barn.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this barn that we have on our farm now came from Edgley.
Oh, okay.
But after a dance, because we were right beside 15 Highway, we never slept. So we had to go around checking for butts in the corrals so there wouldn't be a fire. And we had to pick up all the bottles. So, and of course the kids were small. At midnight they could have a hot dog. Those days Catholics didn't have meat until after 12. So anyway, they would, Austin would sneak out and have a hot dog. So anyway, as a result, we never slept. So I'll have to tell you this story. The following night, which is a Saturday, I was bushed. And who should we get? A couple that were very boring. And, John told them, he said, the wife's very, very tired. And because we had a barn dance, and she didn't care. So she sat beside me showing me pictures of people I didn't know. And then John was signaling me to get some cold drinks and then hot drinks. And he says, Mom, he says, when I saw that glassy look on your face, I knew that was it. And my head dropped in her lap. They left.
That was the Reynolds, wasn't it? No, they were both pretty boring.
That's funny.
Any more? Anything else?
Who's next?
How many?
I guess, we'll say 10 years.
10 years. So how old would Max been when you started?
Oh, well, yeah, they were already good size, you know.
I think it was about 8 or 9. I used to work with
Well, you
Rosie.
have to remember that Austin was about 2 or 3.
Yeah, so I was older than that, yeah. I used to work with Rosie in the kitchen.
That's right. I had my neighbor helping me.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had the well driller live in our yard, and she helped me too. And yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. There were some times I ran out of food, and these people would come and say, "We'll eat anything you got." I would go in the house and I would find the ham and eggs or whatever, make them up. Breakfast that morning for the children was cereal, full cereal.
Yeah.
Is about about your age like
Car question.
like about like so you got your driver's first thing is
Just take your time, honey. Just take your time. It's just Grandma. You can ask me anything.
so when did we
How do you know that? Because you counted?
okay I know how old were you and
With my driver's license?
yeah and
What was your first call?
first thing is that was it scary or not so bad and did you get any collisions or no?
Okay. I was 15 when my dad took me for a drive in his Pontiac car, and then my brother Roland took me out for a drive, and I got my license at 16. And no, I never had a collision. I never had any.
You weren't scared?
No,
What kind of car was it? Pontiac what?
Pontiac.
Probably a Parisienne or something,
Yeah,
more than likely. That was the most common one in those days.
yeah.
Standard, automatic?
Standard.
Standard.
Oh yeah, everything was standard in those days.
No automatics until.
So it wasn't a green truck, it was a car.
It was a car.
Mm.
Yeah.
This one's you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Madam, I have to put this.
Now, Grandma, did this car have a crank on the front?
No, but my parents' car did have, and my brothers used to, when Mom and Dad would go visiting the neighbors, my brothers would sneak it out, and as long as I kept my lips sealed, my brothers took me with them wherever I went.
When do you start your career? How long do you play your career of ball?
Oh, well, okay. I wasn't in high school, but the pitcher, a friend of mine, and I used to play dodgeball. You know, you just pick up a team and play. So the high school girls got us, and we missed class at school, so it was great. We'd go with the high school girls to play ball. And then when they grew out of that, we had a team, we called ourselves the Lestock Bombers, and I was the back catcher. And the only team that ever beat us was the Balgoni Bloomer Girls. Once they beat us. And we would go around to the different towns and different tournaments and play ball. And in those days I didn't wear a mask, so if I got hit in the nose and had a injury, all they did was stop the game, put my head back, stop the bleeding, give me a Coke, and I'd be the catcher again.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So yes, and then even after Grandpa and I married, I was on the ladies' softball team, the softball. I also curled. I loved curling, and I loved skiing, but we didn't have ringette or
Hockey.
no.
Right. And cross country skiing, I'm assuming?
Oh yes, I had cross country skiing and downhill skiing, and
And
I loved field meets.
What?
High
yeah.
jump,
Oh, yeah.
running broad jump,
Yeah.
standing.
High jump?
Well, there was high jump,
Yeah.
and then there was running broad jump, and then just broad jump,
Oh, yeah.
and relay races. Yeah, I liked all sports, anything.
Well, and you did a bike-a-thon?
Well, I did. That bike-a-thon, I was then 65 years old.
Yeah.
And it was a trip from Balgoni to Port Capel to raise money for MS.
Okay.
And then you'd overnight and come back. Well, Grandpa came and got me, said I'd sleep better in my own bed. He brought me back the following morning for breakfast.
Nice.
Yeah, so yes.
I remember.
Yeah, so, and I raised $2,000 for
That's awesome. And didn't you do one where you pushed a bed along the side of the road too?
No, I was never in the bed derbies.
Oh,
But I
okay.
did a marathon at the legislature, an all-nighter for cancer.
Right.
Yeah, where we were up all night and we'd walk around the ledge, and there were lights for every cancer victim.
Oh, nice.
Back to your ball playing career. So when you were the Les Dogs Bombers, what sort of uniform did you wear?
Well, the first, we didn't have the money, and people were a little reluctant to get the businesses to hand out money so you could buy uniforms. So we sort of wore a one-piece jumpsuit with short legs. And then after that, the town did give us money, so we had the usual ball uniform with blue
Oh, really?
bloomers on the back. Yeah.
How many skin knees and shins did you get from sliding into mazes?
Actually, you have to. Okay. The fact is that catchers can't always throw from home base to second base to catch those people that are trying to steal a base. I could.
Wow.
Nice.
That's where you get your arm from, Dave.
And the second baseman, she was very good. We had a southpaw on first, and Grace Edwards was on the second, and they thought they'd get there and right, get them out. We tag them all the time. Our high school principal was our coach.
Okay.
Bill Sobolski. Yeah,
Did you bat right or left?
right.
And how many home runs did you get in your career, Grandma?
Oh, I had a few.
Eric Judge has nothing on you.
Yeah, I had a few. Yeah, and the pitcher, she was just phenomenal. Oh, I did try my hand at pitching once when she was unavailable, but I couldn't match her. She was
Pretty good.
Not hurting your forward.
no.
You
By Grenry as a backstop, so he could learn how to pitch and how to catch it. Yeah. Yeah.
Tyson, what's your question for Grandma?
What was it again?
What was it like to raise a big family on the farm?
I can't. Is it like to raise a big family on the farm? What was it like to raise a big family on the farm?
I loved it. I grew up with my family. I married at 18, and at 19, my first child arrived. And I was just delighted. He was such a good kid. He was so easy to train. And a year later, I had my second boy, who was completely opposite. And in those days, we didn't have Pampers.
Who was the second boy anyway? Was it Dan?
Got John Garfield. We called him Gar. And then there was Dan. Dan was easy to train. And then Angie. So then I had the first four, and then 5 years passed, and then Austin came, and Miles a year and a half later. So
What about Grandpa Max?
he was first.
He was the
first.
first
He was
one.
the-
That was so easy to train.
That made her decide to have more.
So the house was there running water? How did you do laundry and diapers
Well,
for all
okay,
those
we
kids?
had a ringer wash machine,
Mhm.
and
So by
had it in
hand.
the basement.
In the basement.
In the basement, the ringer wash
So they
machine.
carry all that water up and downstairs.
I think there was. Yes, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, you just set it up step by step. Well, and by then, you know. But whatever. Winter time, the diapers all had to be washed because we didn't have Pampers. So, but you get used to it. I mean, that's all we knew. You know, we had a wood stove. We didn't have indoor plumbing. So nobody lingered in the bathroom outside. You didn't have to stand in line. And we didn't have the luxury of all this nice toilet paper. You used the catalogs that wasn't colder than you know, just awful because it was just icy cold. And we
Scratchy.
were lucky when we would get fancy apples or oranges for Christmas and get that nice paper around. So,
I remember.
but
Wait to reuse this.
Yes.
and, let me tell you, you made a quick trip. In the winter, though, as time went by, I set up something for downstairs and made it a little secluded under the steps. And then in the morning, when I get up early, I take it outside with me. And so, yeah, you manage, you know, you just do. Snow, we'd haul snow in the winter for good soft water.
It takes a
And-
lot of snow to melt to make a
Oh, yeah.
couple cupfuls of hot water.
Well, then we had a cistern.
Oh.
So we had a cistern, and we'd get the water from there, down underneath in the basement.
The
And of
cistern
course,
is like a big pool of water.
it's like a big room under the house where you catch rainwater. So yeah, and then you have your taps.
So you had
And
to,
again, that had to be hauled up and down.
and you had to make sure that room didn't freeze.
It never would.
But not in the basement. No.
Not
No.
in the basement.
They
Oh,
would
okay.
actually cement. And it was a lot of water, so it would.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So.
How about gardening? Must have been a pretty big garden. to feed all
Oh
those
my
moms.
goodness gracious, yes, it was a big garden. In the spring, when it was time to plant potatoes, Grandpa would have the little Ford tractor opening the furrows. All you saw was rear ends as the kids were helping put the potatoes in. And Grandpa would come and cover them up. And of course, his dad lived with us, so I had to learn not to live with not only one man, but two. And
Both of them only too happy to tell you that what you're doing wrong.
yes, always would tell me if something wasn't any good. And but my dad was so encouraging.
How is it staying?
First of all, my mother told Grandpa, if you marry her, you'll starve to death because she doesn't know how to cook. And that irritated me to no end. Although our first meal was rather
I see
pathetic.
something.
It was a gingerbread mix that he had in the cupboard. I moved into this house that wasn't mine. These men lived there, and his sister Mary, who was blind. And Mary had a
How is it?
Little lamb.
on her optical nerve. Anyway, she passed away a few months after we were married. In fact, I took her my wedding
How is it staying?
bouquet, and she died in Winnipeg. But anyway, I learned to cook, and I think I did a little too well because my boys are all pretty big.
So, which leads us to Penny's question, which is?
I've heard that you're a good cook. What was your favorite recipe?
Potato dumpling soup.
Woohoo!
Oh,
Yeah, that's your favorite.
I make that one.
we like that one.
That's your
favorite soup is probably
We
soup.
all love
Mhm.
If we make it tomorrow, I don't think we can make it tomorrow. We'll be driving
All the
home.
dumplings were awesome.
Grandma makes some pretty good food.
And you know what? Like, even though I played a lot of sports and wasn't one for being in the house, I could see my mom cooking and remember some of the things she did and how she sewed. I learned to sew. I sewed clothes for my kids and myself with a old Singer sewing machine.
Like foot pedal powered, or was it?
Was it electric?
Yeah, pedal, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then there was a draw. I think it was John was a draw, and we won us an electric sewing machine. So.
Oh,
But
nice.
that old Singer went to Texas, and Sean made a vanity for Mackenzie.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
cool.
cool.
Yeah. So when you lifted it up, there was the mirror.
It's the same.
Oh, yeah.
Like the same as what we have on our porch.
Yeah.
So did you always have electricity then?
We'll have to open it
No,
up
we
one day.
didn't have always electricity. No, we didn't. We had kerosene lamp and a gas lamp.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody knows what Miller moths are, the gas lamp had where it would lights. They were like how can I explain it? They were little cloth containers.
Oh, like
Oh, yeah.
mantles?
A mantle.
Mantles, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, if a Miller moth hit that, well, then the flame would,
Yes.
because you had to pump.
Yeah.
Right,
into
yeah.
the-
Right. Yeah.
So if the kids would catch a Miller moth, it went into the kerosene lamp with the glass bulb.
Yeah.
I still have some.
Yeah.
And the thing would fly in there. That was our entertainment.
Yeah. And when did you get electricity? Do you know?
When did we get electricity? Oh my goodness.
Like after
That
the
was
kids
still
were
in
born?
Westall?
Oh yes, after
Yeah.
the children were born, yeah. I think, yeah, wait a minute. No, we still didn't have it on the big farm. That's when we had the kerosene lamps.
Like, did you have it for the barn dances?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Once we started the barn dances, then we had.
Then you had power.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we had the big power pole in the yard and.
Actually, people just tied a candle around their forehead.
That's right. And away they went.
Just to chuck it in the jar.
Doing stuff,
Yeah.
putting on my feet.
No one's putting anything on their feet.
Meadows?
You were very young when you met Grandpa. What were your thoughts?
Okay. I was how can I say, so involved with sports, and I really didn't like boys. I found that they bragged a lot. You know, because my mom and dad owned a restaurant. So I grew up in a cafe. And I'd hear these boys bragging about some girl they'd been out with, and I knew they were lying because we were doing our homework together. But anyway, I did, at 13, I had a crush on this young fella, kid, and he wanted to take me to a movie. And I thought, Mom says, you know, if he pays your way, he's going to want a kiss after. And I thought, well, it's going to happen one time or another. What the heck, how bad can that be? We went to the movie.
Where did you go to the movies?
In Lestock, they
Oh.
have movies
Oh.
every Friday.
Where'd you
Okay.
watch it?
And I'll tell you, I don't remember because he was holding my hand and it was all wet and clammy. And all I could think of, my God, if his hand is like this, what kind of a slobbery kiss is it gonna be? So after the movie, I dropped 25 cents in his pocket and ran home. And my mother was standing at the door and said, well, did he kiss you? I said, no. I threw 25 cents in his pocket and ran home. So then, I was 13 then. Well, I was 14 when the war ended, Maybe I was younger, but when I was 14, this soldier came into, a veteran came into my dad's cafe. He's very good looking. And he used to go and talk to all these other friends, grown girl, ladies that he knew, and I'd listen to them laughing, and I got a crush on him. And of course he had asked he thought I was older than I was. Like I looked older and I acted older because I didn't go out with the boys. And so he asked my friends, what's the name of that older Four girl? And they said, oh, that's Rosemary. She's no fun at all. And all she does is read books. I used to like to read a lot of books. And she's got her nose in the comics all the time. But anyway, there was a dance, and I didn't know how to dance. My friends, one could play the piano, one had taken tap dancing lessons, and the other one had some knowledge. They taught me to dance, and I went to the dance, and your grandpa asked me to dance. Well, my parents didn't like it because he was older than I was. And so my mother had called him, and I was then, I guess I was 16, going to be 17. And she said to him, just what are your intentions towards my daughter? I thought he'd tap dance around that, because he wouldn't answer. And we were in the cafe, so she says, you do your dishes and you don't look at him and signal him. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, well, he's never going to answer this. So he said to my mom, I love your daughter, and I know she's very young. And he says she has to finish school, and if she still feels the same way about me when she's 18, I want to marry her. And my mom said, very well. She didn't expect that. We're going to send her away. And of course, my folks were, there was religion involved in this too. And my uncle was a Lutheran minister, and they sent me to be confirmed. And it was the time of the Winnipeg flood about 50 or 51. I guess 50, and everybody was asked to go home. But I had, my uncle confirmed me, and I got home, and the romance started again. So the rest is history. Mom says just don't get married in town. So we were married in Regina at Little Flower Parish. And he was, your grandpa was a very wonderful man. He was young at heart. In fact, he used to tell me I was too old for him. So I guess he felt I was no fun at all.
Hey, what time is it, Mom?
So, yeah, Grandpa was just a great guy. Lots of teasing. Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
So what year were you born in, Grandma?
I was born on October 25th, 1933. This is my last year in my 80s.
So kids, let's talk about some of the things that didn't even exist in 1933.
That's right.
When Grandma was a little kid, there were no TVs.
No.
What did telephones look like?
There were no telephones. They had what they years ago. They would. It was some kind of wires along the fences. I don't remember that at all. Grandpa did.
Yeah.
And then when we did get the phone, it was a party line.
Picture, right?
And so you pick it up and somebody would be on it.
Smooching.
Generally, to be polite, you'd get off. I used to have to give the kids heck because they would be listening to what Sally DeShane was doing next door. And then you'd hear them say, get the heck off the line, we hear you. And Mrs. Bonnier was the telephone operator. Yeah.
So she knew all the secrets.
And she was really good for me too when I was about 16. But she told me how many girls were interested in me.
Yeah.
I had them in.
Yeah.
I knew where to attack.
Even when I was a kid, we had a phone downstairs where on the receiver you had
The
caps that
dial.
would spin off,
Yeah, the dial.
like on the not on the dial.
Oh
Just
yeah.
on the thing itself. You'd
On the
you
handset.
could take that apart
Oh yeah,
so that they absolutely couldn't hear you talking. Then you
Oh,
couldn't
I
talk.
see. Oh
They
yeah.
couldn't hear you at all. So you were perfectly quiet. And whoever's on the phone upstairs had no idea that you were
Really?
listening in. Yeah.
Anyway, you know, we didn't have growing up.
Guys?
We didn't have the TVs, the radio. Okay, was battery operated, and the battery was usually used in the vehicle, the work vehicle. My dad was a traveling salesman prior to becoming buying the cafe. So when he get home from work, from traveling or selling groceries, they bring the battery in and put it into the radio. And of course, The Shadow was supposed to be a very scary show then. They wouldn't let us kids listen to it, so we wouldn't get frightened. So I gave my sister a haircut.
What?
I gave her a haircut, and the barber says, it's a wonder I didn't cut her skin. And who should become a hairdresser but my sister Joan?
No,
And
really.
when she was doing my hair, I'd say, you don't hold grudges, do you? Yeah, but we would play outside, hide and seek, and red light, anti-eye over, hoist your sails, all the may I? That was another one, and we'd have all the kids in town playing. So I didn't have just one friend; we were all friends.
Except for that one.
Yeah, we were all friends, and well, I even tried my hand at playing rugby. Yeah, a couple of us girls with the boys, and got a little rough, so we just gave that up.
Mhm. Now, wasn't there? I don't know if this is. I don't know the whole story, but wasn't there a part where, when you were in Winnipeg, where there was a bus and the police and a whole thing?
Well, okay. But some of these things I wasn't sure whether the children should know about. First of all, in order for me, because I knew my mom would renege on Johnny and I getting married at 18th, but I knew that the law said that if you had to be self-supporting for 3 months, and you could marry or do whatever you wished that made you an adult.
Right.
So when I came back from Winnipeg, I had told her that I wanted to become a missionary nurse. And friends of theirs, their daughter was taking psychiatric training at Selkirk, Manitoba, and that's where I went to take psychiatric training. Now, it was quite an experience. I couldn't believe that some of these people were actually in there without family wanting to get rid of them. And you cannot become too involved with, and of course, I had been left alone on the ward, and the lady took a seizure, and of course, we had already been trained what to do. But I guess was having nightmares, and the house mother said, this isn't for you. So I then went to Winnipeg and lived with my brother and his wife, and I got a job at Canada Safeway. And that was going great. And then one day, Bill phoned me, my brother, and he says, "You've got company from Leicester." You know, here's another girl that wasn't really a chum of mine, but she had run away from home and come to Winnipeg and sought me out. And anyway, Marion, my sister-in-law, was pregnant, and I knew that she couldn't handle Evelyn too. And so I did get Evelyn a job at Safeway too. And then I got another call from a friend, and she said, your mother is just livid because Evelyn and I moved out and got our own place. She's coming to Winnipeg.
Oh boy.
So that's when I took the bus. I got borrowed money from my cousin, and I took the bus, and I just sent word to John, and
Like here.
Alias of Margaret Long.
Okay.
And I took the bus to, I said it was on my way to Saskatoon, but I took it to Regina, and then was going to take the bus. So anyway, long story short, John met me at the at the train in Regina and drove me to Saskatoon. No, drove me to Nokomis, and I took the train from there to visit his friends. And well, of course, you know, everybody was in a stir and looking for me, and where I should have been on the train, I was on a bus, and when I should have been on the bus, I was on a train, whatever. So trains, planes, and automobiles. Anyway, finally, I had gotten word. Oh yeah, I was heading then to Melville. I was always moving. And I got word in Melville that I'm to sit tight. My mom had given in. And yeah, the rest is history. I was going to be 18 then in less than 2 months. So yeah, and I must tell you that my mother, I have pictures of her with her arms around John, and she said he was her best son-in-law.
Aww.
And so it turned out great. And she'd come to the farm, and she'd help with the digging potatoes, and I have a picture of her with beside John at the tractor with a babushka on. And yeah, so, but it was, I can't, and John always said, don't hold it against them, and I never did. You know, I often thought of, because Angie would say, well, supposing that would have been me. And I said, well, I wouldn't have made such a fuss. She said, you wouldn't? I said, no, I'd have been quieter. I just found a dead body somewhere. Oh, fun, but anyway, no, my parents, and everything I did, I got the most encouragement from my father. My father would tell me, that is perfect. Keep on doing that. Even when I made the worst choke cherry wine ever. Oh, my Lord. And when I was spilling it out about 3-4 years ago, I tried a little. I said, Dad, it's still terrible.
Oh, you should have got a hold of Albert.
Yeah.
He fed an Alphazakis a whole bunch of ugly
Pumpkin wine.
Yeah, and he thought that was this great, slapped her, slammed her right back.
Oh my God, yeah. So, yeah, we had a great life. We were married, we were going into our 67th year when Grandpa passed away, and he would have been 102 years old. And he still had a great sense of humor. He was full of the dickens, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Grandma.
Yeah. Thank you, Grandma.
Yeah. So I had a great life. And I always tell people I grew up with my children. So, you know, I was 18 and when I married, 19 with my first child, 29 with my last child. So in 10 years, I had 6 children. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't change a thing. They was just great. I watched the home movies today, and how we're playing dodgeball, and the kids on their bicycles, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then little Miles on his tricycle. Oh my goodness. We raised sheep, Jersey cows. We had Herefords, Appaloosa horses, chickens. Turkeys were not, but we had geese, hogs. Yeah, we were pretty self-sustaining there. And we had our hired man was native, one of the best hired men we've ever had. So his family lived there too. And they had 3 or 4 kids, and they went to school at the residential school, and then came home. And so then the well drillers family lived there. So we had all these kids, playing dodgeball on the
Oh, that's fun.
right beside the road. So it was like there was just a yard full of kids all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was great. It was lots of fun. Yes, we had our ups and downs. It shows the kids getting off the bus, the school bus, and it was nice to see. Of course, there was no sound on those movies, but yeah. It was great. Even the first time that we bought these sheep, and they were all with lamb, we never knew a thing about them. John had gone to work, and Dan and Angie were the smallest, and all we had was this book, and I had gone out to check see if any of them were lambing, and sure enough, there's a little thing. She could hardly look out of her woolly face cover, stamping her feet and looking at me and turning around, and I saw the little, and I ran back to read the book. But we had to have a pen. We needed a pen, and we weren't prepared. And John had cattle racks, and I made this cattle rack pen, and by the time I had it done, she already had the lamb. Well, Dad came out, and he said, "What a good job." He was always so encouraging, my father. Always encouraging. So, didn't matter what I did, it was perfect always. So, yeah. Let me tell you about the first bread I baked.
Oh yeah.
I was bound and determined I was going to learn how to do this, and I wasn't going to ask my mom because she said it seemed to me she had no faith in me. So I made this bread, and I added a little too much flour. It was just you couldn't knead it. And I thought, I'm just going to put it in this paper bag, and I'll get rid of it later.
Tyler and Tyson.
I put it out in this little porch we had, and it was a damp day. Well, as the day progressed, you see that the yeast did work, and the bag got a split in it. So I covered it with a coat. And that night I went out when it was dark, and I dug a hole in the chicken yard and buried it. And I thought in the morning I'd probably have a big giant puffball. But no, I guess the dirt wouldn't let it rise anymore. My first strudel, I didn't put enough flour on the tablecloth, and the dough stuck, and I had to throw it and the tablecloth away.
No.
Your strudel is still, for me, the standard strudel. No strudel is as tender and as flavorful as yours. When I eat strudel anywhere else, yours is the standard. It was the first strudel I'd ever had. It was, you guys, you can't imagine how good that strudel was. It was, like I said, it was tender and rich. It was so rich, and it's just,
Well, I
the
made
strudel that
some-
you buy at the store doesn't even come close.
I made some here a few weeks ago, and I thought I'd freeze them. No, that didn't last.
I wonder how come.
Yeah.
Not only him, but Austin came out.
I'm not the only one that shows up there.
Grandma, are your home movies, are they on like a reel-to-reel thing?
It's a real CD now.
Oh yeah, you did get a transfer.
I had it on a reel-to-reel.
Yeah.
I have the movie camera even yet. I have the screen. And then I had it put on a from the reel I had it put onto an 8-track. And from the 8-track to a CD.
Cool.
So yeah, it's quite lengthy.
Yeah.
You know, it shows the kids at the lake, and there's no sound because
Fishing lake?
no, wait a minute, Fishing Lake.
Yeah.
And I have made other movies with sound and music, which I learned. I got the program, so I had to play it. I played that one today, and yeah, the kids. We had John bought an infant deer, a little. The mother had been killed, and so I think he paid $5 to these kids. But anyway, so we called her Bambi, and she got the rest of her. The deer wouldn't accept her because she had human
Scent.
scent on her. So I've got those pictures of the kids feeding her sugar, and then Austin and Miles, you know, but in the end, one man said to me, he came into the yard, he says, do you have a deer and a kid? I said, I've got a deer and lots of kids. The kid and the deer are down the highway in the ditch.
What should I write on here?
Miles was following her. She had then grown up, and she was, you know, then
Striking out.
and we were worried that she would paw out the eye for the hired man's child, so unfortunately, John looked after her, and they kept saying, what happened to her? And I said, I don't know. She said, Mom, are we eating her? And I said, no.
Shut up and dig in.
I never did tell them, but I knew that they knew.
Yeah.
No, it's we had rabbits. Oh, we had rabbits all over the yard, and we had this lady who would butcher them for us. And yeah, it was great. I left the farm. I cried when we left. We left the farm and moved. We were there 19 years on that big farm.
Mm-hmm.
And we call it the big farm because there was 2 sections.
Okay.
And we moved them to town. The kids had all left, except the younger boys.
4 minutes, bud.
And yeah, we had land on the edge of Lestock, and we sold some land to the town. So. And John, of course, we knew that we weren't going to stay there. We had no relatives. So yeah, we came up here. We actually looked at a place in Swan River, Manitoba.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, we got up there to look, but it's too wild. Too much bush. And then when we did buy up here, we needed a place with lots of trees for the sheep. And there was this acreage across from us that we were gonna meet up with the owner. And when we got to the gate that day, here was this lady and her 2 sons, and she was paying cash. And that was the beginning of the nudist colony.
Oh, okay.
So then the realtor from Edgeley said, well, John, this is for sale across here. There wasn't a tree on the place. It was just a big, messy field. Black. You know, she was a baby.
She was a baby.
Yeah,
Planting
sleeping on that
potatoes.
blanket in the yard there. We were planting trees. And,
Eating the dirt,
yeah.
apparently.
And planted all those trees.
So that was in 1980 then? Was I 1?
No, you were littler than that. You were crawling.
So 79
We
then.
bought it in 78,
Oh, okay.
and we moved out there in 1980.
And planted all those trees.
We first of all, Grandpa did I think 1,000 of them himself until I called the RM. Somebody had told me call the RM. They have a tree planting deal, so we did, and it went fast. 6,500 trees the first year.
Wow.
And then another 55, 45, so on, so on, so on. Then you had to fill in because some of them didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then when we had that tornado here, was that in 2009?
95?
Was it
No,
95?
no.
Oh, the one in White City?
Like,
Oh, yeah, right. Okay,
we
yeah.
lost 200 of them.
Yeah, that was bad.
I often tell people, you know, I have pictures of the trees, and it's like blood. These are poplars, and they were split, and they're just red.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it just makes you sad because they were alive, and yeah, that was. But we were very fortunate because nothing in the yard was touched. Nothing. Even the barn, skipped the barn, and behind the barn uprooted trees with trucks that just uprooted them.
Wow.
And then jumped across the yard, so it wasn't a plow wind. This thing hopped.
Yeah.
So yeah, so here we are. We're still there, and the nudist colony is still there.
So you said you like to read. What's your favorite book?
My favorite books.
Yeah.
I like Zane Grey.
I like Zane Grey.
Yeah.
Riders of the Purple Sage.
Yeah, I used to like those, and yeah, and I liked stuff on the Civil War. I found that very interesting.
Now you get a chance to watch it on TV.
Now it's the
All over
Civil
again.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had a very happy life. There's something crawling there.
Is it a kid?
It's a ladybug.
Right there. Right there by the jacket.
Somebody
Oh,
get a
yeah. There's a ladybug on the floor.
Film it.
Is it what it is?
I'm filming it.
Oh, well, let her go.
Someone put her in a plant.
Yeah, let her go. Ladybugs are good.
Good job,
So
Madam.
anyway, that was we had always a big garden. Always a big garden. When I would make supper, I'd have a pail of potatoes to peel because the boys like lots of potatoes.
I imagine they did.
Yeah. But anyway, other than that, if there's anything else,
Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you, Grandma,
yes,
for regaling us tonight.
but I thought that
Maybe Tyrell can be on next
you might enjoy the one with
Look, there's room on the table.
slobbery. I really don't know whatever became of him, but oh yes, well of course, my friend started this man-haters club where we meet above my parents. We lived above the cafe, and for weekends they'd only talk to my dad. Wouldn't talk to anybody else.
How come not new nails as well?
They'd be there and they'd say, "Mr. Ford, tell them this,"
Not that. New nails.
and all we did was smoke upstairs.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And what about the time when the guys would be outside out?
Oh well. That now okay. Those are the days where you didn't have indoor plumbing,
Kids' names on my
and the men would go out around the corner and relieve themselves under my bedroom window. My bedroom window swung out. Now we didn't look; we just turned the light down, Joan and I. They thought it was my
You
mother.
stay up there now.
My friend Margaret lived right
One
across
for
the
you,
alley
one
from
for,
us. And we're laughing and laughing, and all of a sudden she goes,
and Amy, and then the other.
my mother is standing behind her.
Oh.
She took the flashlight away, that was the end of our escapades. Yeah. You can imagine, you know, when they're being and then
All of a sudden, everything's lit up.
Well, that makes it easier.
yeah, that was good.
Why don't you tell us about the joys of grandchildren?
Well, you know what? The parenting was great. Being a grandma was really extra special. I was so happy, you know, with all of them. I was so proud, you know. I have pictures of all of you. I have albums. My God, album. Now everything's on computer and disc. I have picture albums, and it was great. I just was so proud to be a grandmother, and I'm proud to be a great grandmother. I mean, I have 18 great grandchildren. You know, I had 6 children, 14 grandchildren, and then now the 18th great granddaughter will be 2 in March. So yeah, it's great, and you know, I know when I used to make, when Grandpa was in the Wascana, and I made pictures, and he'd say, "Who are all these people?" I said, "That's because of us, John." And he said, "Have they finished having kids yet?" I said, "That's exactly what my mother wanted to know too." And I said, "And we still have some who haven't produced, like Gar's 2, Lindsay and Lindsay and Curtis. They haven't had children. Well, of course, Chelsea won't ever have any.
Sammy.
Sammy had, that's right, Sammy hasn't, so yeah, there's 3 that haven't produced anything, so who knows, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever happens, happens.
Right.
And I think there's nothing that gives me more pleasure, and oh yes, and of course a lot of them, the great grandkids now want to be my friend on Facebook.
No.
And that should be interesting.
Sure, what the heck.
But you know, I mean, the only thing I'm on Facebook for is for the pictures and recipes. And just to stay in touch with friends, you know. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I'm very fortunate that Max lives with me, and he looks after all the outside chores because I can't do it anymore. More with my shoulders and my balance, and with this knee, some days I walk pretty good.
And other days, it's a good thing you got that scooter for yourself all those years
well,
ago.
Yes, the Veterans Affairs gave me all the little perks that John had. So the scooter,
Oh, that's nice.
the walker.
But
I
isn't
have a house cleaner coming in once a month.
Yeah.
And
Well, 90 years later, 89 years later, I think that's well deserved.
it's allowed.
well, what the heck, I should say so. You know, it's really nice. She does a beautiful job on my kitchen stove. I kind of maybe should leave the oven open.
Yeah, right. I still laugh though when you got that scooter for John and he's like, "Oh, well, that'll come in handy for you and Max."
Oh, that was the wheelchair.
Oh, the
The
wheelchair.
wheelchair. We bought it.
He's like, "I'm not going in
And
that."
it's still sitting in the 1 bedroom.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm all prepared.
Yeah, you're not
That's awesome.
No, Max looks after everything outside and does a heck of a good job. And I don't go in the basement anymore. It's too risky. I can go down this coming up. I have no wish, I know where everything is, and just tell them where to go, and
I get told where to go a lot.
Yeah, I imagine.
where to go and get things up. And yeah, so no, it's I'm cutting back, cleaning out cupboards, and tell my friends to quit giving me gifts that I put in my cupboard and never use.
Right.
And shotgun shells. Something you still
Well,
use.
Jared, I can't shoot anymore either.
No,
Oh
it's
my
all
gosh.
Because of the shoulder
Oh, yeah.
recoil.
Yeah.
A few months ago I did, and well, it took the longest time for this black mark to go. I didn't hold it right. It's really my fault. I should have known better that. And what I should have had was, say, a towel.
How many birds have you shot out there, Grandma?
Squirrels, Jared. How many squirrels?
Oh,
Skunks, porcupines.
yeah, I still have a gun permit. I have more fun with that than anything. I'll have to tell you this. Minhas, distiller, they sell liqueur. It's, I would say, about 16% alcohol, whatever. But it's so pleasant. But anyway, at the time of the pandemic, you had to show ID, and Dan had been there several times, so they knew him. And I showed him. It was so hard to get my driver's license out, and it was easier to pull the permit out.
Right.
I showed him the gun permit. I was Rosemary all afternoon. He probably thought I was packing. I had this big bag. Anyway, and even Dan says, "Gee whiz, one look at my mother's driver's license, and you remember her name." And I didn't say anything, and he didn't, and he kept saying, "Try this one. That's my favorite." Which was those cookies and cream and burnt butterscotch or whatever. They're lovely. And then he'd give you popcorn to clean your palate, and then when you go out, you spin the wheel, and you win something else. And I said, Dan says, "I can't get over how he remembered your name." And I said, "Well, I showed him my gun permit." "Oh, well," he says, "he probably figured I better not cross her up a year later." But anyway, they have really nice sparkling, it's like a cider. But,
yeah.
But I told my friends, my lady friends that I grew up with, please stop giving me clothes. I'm going to clean my closet out. I haven't worn these clothes in over 4 years. I have my favorite stuff now, and I guess, I like these, they keep me warm shirts. But anyway, I said, but I do like stuff red. Fluid.
Yeah. Consumables. You read me?
Yeah. So Cheryl the other day, she says, one of my friends is really interested. What was that good wine you liked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I said Copper Moon. Oh, Copper Moon, I said smooth red. And I knew it's good. Fine.
Dad'll have to buy you a bottle of the Snoop Dogg. That Snoop Dogg 19 Crimes is to die.
Is that the? No, that's not the one. The one is that the one like Jackie had said?
No, then she had the Rolling Stones one.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
this one's even better than that. You gotta try it. It is
It's very good.
but you see, is it hard liquor?
It's red wine.
Red wine.
It's red wine.
Red wine.
Oh,
Very
it's
good
red
red
wine.
wine. Snoop Dogg 19 Crimes. Dad'll remember the Snoop Dogg part.
Well,
It's good.
oh, is that
Right.
right?
Oh,
You get
yeah.
it here in town?
Well, in
Yeah.
Lumsden you can. I'm sure you can get it anywhere else too.
Years ago there was a cheap wine. It was maybe $5. I remember
Red Devil.
Red Devil,
Good.
and And I was telling Jeannie, I said, you have no idea how well I sew after I've had a glass or two.
Like a hot dam. Were they straight lines?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was funny. And then, what the heck, we were going to visit Gar and Ellen in Winnipeg, Angie and I, and this guy came and he says, I heard you like Red Devil Woman. He says, I brought you a case.
Ooh.
Well, I said, aren't you nice? I said, I was going to say, what are your intentions towards my daughter? But yeah, they took it off the market. I guess people were having too much fun.
Yeah,
Likely.
likely.
Ripple in the States. Cheap.
Yeah.
When it first came out, it was only $2.20 a bottle.
Oh, wow.
But
cheap.
anyway, that was a very nice day to see all of you. I just loved sitting back here and watching all of you visiting with each other, and I want to thank you, Jeannie, for making me part of it.
Always. You're it. You're it for me.
It's not often you know, by the way, in order to get some of my kids out of diapers, especially that youngest fella.
He's still in diapers?
No. I said, okay, I didn't poop in your pants. Wash it. Wash it? Well, I said, you pooped in it. I didn't. And I said to Austin, and if you try pooping in your pants, you're going to wash your own too. Well, I won't. And he never did. But Miles, yeah, he did stop. I said, you're going to get your hands in there and
Big rope.
Yeah.
and of course with
So by the sixth kid is when you just don't care anymore.
Yeah, you're like, if you do it, you're cleaning it.
You have to set some rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,